So next, I'm going to talk to you about an initiative we've launched here in Hong Kong. As many of you know, at the Marketing Society conference in the past, we've always invited a charity to come and speak to us and tell us about their story. And this year, as it's Brave Together, we really wanted to do something different and step it up a notch, really, and support that charity throughout the year. And we also knew that our membership base had so many talented individuals with great skill sets that we'd all make such a difference to any charity that we choose to work with. So, at the start of the journey, we identified a charity to work with that we felt really passionate about. I really wanted to work with a homeless charity. However, I really didn't know what to do apart from donating to that charity. I didn't know what the right type of support would be. I found this charity called ImpactHK. They've only been around for a few years, but they're already doing so much for the homeless in Hong Kong. What I love about this charity is they always believe in housing first and questions later, and kindness is at the center of everything they do. So as a board, we decided that we would work with ImpactHK this year. Next, I asked our membership for volunteers, and as you can see, we had some great brands joining us as part of this initiative. As part of this initiative. Next, we had to listen and learn. We wanted to listen and learn to Jeff and Charlotte at ImpactHK to really understand what their story was and what they're trying to achieve. What they're trying to achieve, sorry. If you could go back a couple of slides to the journey, thank you. Sorry, apologies for this. Thank you. Really wanted to understand what they wanted to achieve. With a charity like ImpactHK, as you can imagine, there is just so much to do, and that was kind of one of the challenges for us as a team. How could we help? So we listened to everything they had to say, we distilled it down, and then we sent it back to them to make sure we actually understood what they were trying to achieve. Then we looked at it through a marketing lens and decided on 4 objectives and 4 key focus areas. Brand, donations, kindness walks, and then online and offline shop. What we did next was we then divided the team into each of those 4 categories. And we really looked at the strategy behind each of those and outlined some key deliverables that we could help with, or key deliverables that they should also be thinking about moving forward into next year. And there's a list of some of the key deliverables that we are supporting them with right now and will continue to support with. We then went on a kindness walk as a group with some members of the Marketing Society board to really see what Jeff and Charlotte are doing at a roots level in Hong Kong. And I have to say, it was a real eye-opener for so many of us who went on this walk. And as I said, there was a group of volunteers who put their hands up for this project. And as you can see on the screen there, this is our wonderful volunteers. This is the amazing group I was working with for the Marketing for Good initiative in 2020. It's been incredible working with this team. From day one, they brought so much to the table, from passion to drive to compassion, fun, and obviously exceptional marketing skills. It really brought us together as a society when we got to work with each other and got to know each other. So I've loved every moment of this. I've never ever worked with a group of marketeers across different brands in a short period of time to work towards a common goal. So it's been incredible. So from me to all of these guys, a big thank you for the work you're doing for Marketing for Good. and supporting the homeless in Hong Kong and the work you'll continue to do. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our next guest, who'll provide the story behind this incredible charity, the CEO of Impact Hong Kong, Jeff Rotmeyer. Jeff, over to you.
Great, thank you guys. It's lovely to be here. Thanks so much for this opportunity. My name is Jeff Rotmeyer. I'm the founder and CEO of ImpactHK, which is a charity in Hong Kong supporting the homeless community. You know, if you'd have told me 6 years ago that I'd be a CEO, I would have called you crazy, and especially of a homeless charity. That was never on my radar. I came to Hong Kong 15 years ago as an English teacher, teaching in a public primary school here, and got involved in charity work quite early on, working with asylum seekers and refugees and coaching football, and then the Down syndrome community. And I was, you know, maybe it was a midlife crisis, but I was looking for more of a meaningful life. And a friend of mine knew that, and he was actually a gentleman who was going out to the park on his own. And he would go to the park to feed the homeless. And he knew I was involved in charity work, so he asked me to join him one day. I said yes, and we went into the park. And it was quite a simple act. We just grabbed as much, you know, bananas and Oreo cookies and Yakult, little yogurt drinks that we could, went into a park and just distributed it to about 100 homeless individuals. At that time, I never knew there was a homeless population in Hong Kong. It was quite shocking to me. And, you know, a few things stood out to me. You know, number one, I was quite surprising to see how open people were to, you know, saying hello, receiving goods from a stranger. I'd never done anything like that before, and I knew I wanted to continue it. So I had an idea after that to invite friends to go with me just one single night a month to go back into that park and distribute food to the homeless. You know, one night a month, not a lot to ask in our lives to go out and help people. And you know, after about 4 or 5 months, we had our first big problem, and that problem was that we had too many volunteers, too many caring people stepping up to care for these individuals in need. So it gave me the ambition and the opportunity to take a next step and maybe go twice a month. And then after that, same issue again, led to 4 times a month and 8 times a month. And you know, soon we were doing it every single day in multiple locations. You know, when you do something every day, you learn, you adapt, and we did. And you know, one thing I learned really was from a couple that I met on a footbridge in North Point, which is a district of Hong Kong Island where I was living at the time. And, you know, after my work, I would go by that footbridge where 8 homeless individuals slept, and I would just pass them dinner on my way home. But one evening I saw a couple, a husband and wife on the footbridge from the Philippines, and I'd never seen them before. I was quite surprised. I went back down, picked out a couple more meals, and brought it up to them and said hello. You know, over time, I got to know them better, learned a little bit more about their story because they were open and sharing it with me. You know, the gentleman had his guitar there, and, you know, he's actually quite a famous musician in Hong Kong. He was a performer at the Peak Lookout, which is a really nice restaurant on Hong Kong Island. And he performed there for like 14, 15 years. So, you know, he's really, really good, loved music, you know, and he had that job. He had a motorcycle accident on the way to work one day, and also suffers from really bad diabetes. So even today, from his knees to his toes on both legs, he has no skin. It just doesn't repair. You know, that really caught up on him, and eventually he just could not make it to work. At that time, they were also living with their 5-year-old son, and the 3 of them eventually became homeless. And then they ended up on this footbridge in North Point. The son was taken away by the authorities, and rightfully so, and put into an orphanage to be given proper care. And the husband and wife were on the footbridge. You know, I have a 10-year-old daughter. I couldn't possibly imagine the pain of having your child taken away from you. And I think you could feel that sense of devastation, but you could also see complete hopelessness with this couple of understanding how could they possibly get up? How could they possibly, you know, find the strength to get up, seek a job without having a permanent address, get enough money saved to then get into an apartment and start a process of, you know, getting their son back in their lives. And, you know, most of the time he would be there, you know, with her on the ground, really just in pain. We became friends, you know, because I would be there quite often. And there was one, he'd have his guitar and he'd be playing Neil Young songs. I'm Canadian, so I really appreciated that. We built quite a good friendship up. And there was one week I was up there about 6 nights in a row, just on my way back. And I was, and that, I think it was the 6th night. I was like, all right, see you tomorrow, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. And I kind of left and I finally kind of woke myself up and kicked myself. I'm going back to my nice bed in my apartment, and my friends are going to sleep on this footbridge. They don't want to be there. We can help them if we want. And we did. So the next day I raised money, got them into an apartment, got him dentures, a makeover, his first music job in a couple of years. And slowly their son was able to get weekend visitations to come and stay with them. And, making a long story short, the 3 of them now have been reunited as a family for 2 years. And they are living in an apartment in North Point and doing quite well. I love them dearly. They're great friends for life. And they gave me such a blessing, really, in teaching me the importance of friendship, and how if you can get on a one-on-one level with an individual on the streets, whether it be in Hong Kong or Vancouver, Canada, or the UK, etc., that really is the best way to empower someone off the streets. Now, this charity, has turned into an army, really. We've had 6,000 volunteers in the last 2 years. We serve about 500 meals per day on the streets, and we've helped well over 200 individuals into shelter. Those 3, the husband, wife, and son, were the first 3 that we ever helped into shelter. And now we're getting individuals into shelter almost every single day. As I'm here in the studio with lots of technical difficulties, Hina, I appreciate that. You've been very patient. But, as we're here, I know of an individual, a homeless friend of mine, who's on a bench in the Mongkok area, and I don't have these magical powers. I can't see him. He's not here with us. But I know he's there because he's always there. That's where he is. He sits on a bench in a playground, morning, afternoon, evening, and nighttime, and he's always there. And many individuals in that playground will look at him and not even see him. And many who do see him will see a person who they judge and they criticize and they blame. Even when we work in the education system, and even them, without even having ever met a homeless individual or knowing anything about the homeless, they do know the adjective that is most often associated with that community, and that's lazy. And I know this gentleman named Keith. I know him because he's a friend, and we became friends really through consistent, repeated kindness through these kindness walks. I met him on one. Luckily for me, he speaks English extremely well because he was a university professor for many years. He taught Chinese literature. He's a poet, loves poetry, loves talking about religion, loves talking about politics. He's a real character. He's 72. And, as a friend, I get to talk to him. I get to go and have lunch with him, and we get to know each other more. He's the first homeless person who's ever written me emails. He's a very smart man. And, when I work with students, I'll often ask them, what is the best thing we can give to help him? What does he need most? Right? And you always get these kind of standard answers with kids and with adults, money, jobs, shelter, food, water, clothing, these essentials that you and I and everyone needs to survive. And they're good answers. But at the end of the day, is that really his greatest need? Now, as a friend, I have a better understanding of what his greatest need is because I've taken the time to get to know him. I know he sits there alone on that bench, and I know he thinks about how he has no family anymore. He sits there and he thinks about how his 8-year-old son died in an accident. He blames himself for that. He positions himself in a children's playground to basically torture himself. On so many occasions, he's told me how he just wants to die. He doesn't want to live anymore. And I'm sure as I share that with you, none of you are out there thinking, lazy. Right? I'm sure none of you are thinking like, that guy, let's get this guy a job, right? If he only had a job, right? And then you also have to question, do you think an apartment would solve these issues? Do you think you could put this gentleman, you could put Keith into an apartment and say, all right, Keith, here's an apartment, go get him. Good luck, mate. You very quickly learn when you work with the homeless and you get to know them on a one-on-one level. You really quickly learn who they are, and you very quickly learn that homelessness is not solved with shipping containers like you so often see in viral videos. You can't transform a garbage bin into a shelter, or a coat that transforms into a tent. You know, these kind of catchy things are just not, they're just not reality. You know, and you very quickly learn that Keith's greatest need really is love, it's friendship, it's connection, you know, and that, you know, you give a talk like that in a school and, you know, within 5 minutes of a sharing, you've got students going from saying that, you know, they need shelter first, jobs first, money first, to instantly saying friendship, kindness, and love. And that's really about awareness. You know, and that's why, you know, we invest a lot of time as a charity in going into schools and raising awareness, because I really believe that the more people that understand the plight of the homeless, the more people will care. I think people that don't care about the homeless aren't bad people. I think they've just never been, you know, educated on this. So it's our job to get out there, and in a large part, ImpactHK is a full-blown charity now, you know, because of storytelling and sharing stories like this. And that's kind of how we grew. We grew through Facebook. Very simply, like I said, on starting, you know, activities, you know, one at a time. And now we've helped, you know, almost 250 people into shelter in our 3 years as a charity. And it's an amazing, amazing ride. I never would have expected this to happen, but, you know, this charity is really built on the care and the love of so many people in our community. You know, it's just been an amazing experience. I used to think people in Hong Kong were quite cold and unfriendly. You know, I'd hold the door open for someone and they wouldn't say thank you. I'd be like, oh my, you know, it's ridiculous. But actually, there's just so many caring people. We have volunteers out each and every night in multiple locations during rain, wind, storms, etc., making it a priority in their lives to care for people. And I think, you know, we kind of tapped into the need that a lot of people want to get out there and give back. And, you know, Hina and the Marketing Society, my goodness, you know, the Marketing for Good team, what an incredible experience it's been working with them. I love their passion. And I think we all in our society, we all have this obligation, I think, in, you know, standing up for people in pain. When we see an individual on the street, that should hurt. And we should care about that, and we should do what we can. And not everybody's going to be able to go out at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or, you know, every morning cooking meals or donating money. Everybody has a part to play. And what I noticed with the, you know, the Marketing Society is really that, you know, these individuals came out and they have done what they're amazing at. And it's been just really exciting to work with them. And I think their passion and their talent is really going to help our charity so much and help us and enable us as a charity to do more and save more lives. So as we continue to grow our programs, we have counseling programs, mentorship, sport art classes every day. We're a community, but we're also creating businesses. We have our secondhand clothing shop, painting companies coming up, a kitchen, restaurants, lots of social enterprise, lots of job creation. And being involved with the Marketing Society has just been an incredible opportunity for us. And I'm just so grateful for all the support that you guys have given. And I'm so excited to see where it goes. At this time, I'd like to, if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Or if not, I know we have some possible call to actions, you know, one being like us on Facebook. That's how we grew, you know, as a charity. So I like to keep our Facebook page quite active. I think you'll notice in there the importance of storytelling and also transparency as a charity. I think that's really important. I think people, in my opinion, like myself, I want to donate to charities that get results. And I think we do. And I think the people that support us, I think they really appreciate that aspect. And also these kindness walks, which are key. You know, these are activities where volunteers like yourselves can get out on the streets and really learn the importance of caring for people in a very non-invasive way. It's not a tour, it's not poverty tourism, there's no photography, there's no forced conversations. It's simply just making sure that the homeless know that they're cared for and that there is an opportunity, and that process, you know, really works. So again, I'd like to thank you guys so much, and yeah, if there are any questions, I'd be more than answer.
Hi Jeff, it's Siobhan. There's a question from Matthias for you. He asked, what is the most difficult thing to do in your team?
What would trigger me to switch my career from the teaching world into the social sector and charity work? You know, there's a lot of good crossover in it, you know, but I must say, I absolutely loved teaching. I thought that I loved being in the Hong Kong public school system. The kids are amazing. The school system kind of sucks, but the kids are wonderful, and I really loved that experience. It taught me a lot about Hong Kong. But you know, once I saw that I could actually get involved in charity and make a career of it, and actually seeing how unique ImpactHK is a charity and how needed it is in Hong Kong, I couldn't help but jump at the opportunity. As soon as I could transfer my salary as a teacher into the charity world, that's when I was able to make that jump. And it took quite a grind. It was about 4.5 years of grinding away to get to that stage. And yeah, I am absolutely in love with this job. It's hard work, but it's so worth it. Yeah, and also I'm seeing a question here about the frustration with the Hong Kong government and other ways corporations can influence and help in that domain. You know, it's very difficult, I think, when you look at the Hong Kong government and the leadership here in this city. I got to be a bit careful. I know there's a hotline out there, but I will say that we would love to see leadership like I try to do within our charity. We try to bring the best out of people, right? We use kindness and care, and we really try to empower people around us, right? And I'd love to see a message from leadership, you know, emphasizing the importance of caring for people. You know, this is a city like many around the world who are really judgmental on the poor. And the homeless in Hong Kong right now are basically being told to just go away, you know, and answering, you know, what's the most difficult part of the job. It's really, you know, we're working with people who are dying. You know, the homeless in Hong Kong are really dying every single day. We're seeing an incredible amount of death on the streets. It's very, very hard. And it's emotional work. But I will say we keep going as a charity because, you know, we see it working and we see beautiful stories every single day all around us. And on the Facebook page, you know, that's my job to kind of convey as much as possible, you know, how we are getting results and how the support that you guys are giving does work.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and yeah, get in touch. And thank you very much for all your support.
Very much, Jeff. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with us. Every time I hear from you, I feel totally inspired. So thank you, and thanks for sharing again. Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm seeing on here amazing work, Jeff. And it definitely is. We've seen some of the work he's done. It is absolutely brilliant. The opportunity to launch such a valuable initiative here in Hong Kong has been so rewarding and inspiring for me and all the people who've been part of this journey as well. So I'm really, really pleased to say that the Marketing Society are going to launch this initiative in all the hubs across the globe for 2021. So I'm over the moon about that. I want to thank the Marketing Society for really getting behind this initiative as well. So we, at the moment, each of the local hubs are all looking at charities in their market, and they are all looking at which ones they feel most passionate about. And then after that, we're going to be looking for volunteers. In Hong Kong, the Marketing for Good team, some of them are going to actually continue to work with Impact Hong Kong because it was the first time we've worked on this initiative. We still have a lot of work for them to do with them into the next year. Some of the team will join the new charity along with some of the volunteers who've already been in touch with me. But we need more volunteers, obviously, because we're launching this in all of the hubs. So if you have 3 to 4 hours of time a month, you want to work with brand marketers, with marketers across various brands, and you want to support a charity in your local market, please, can you get in touch with Alistair and Lauren from the Marketing Society? I'm sure they'll drop their email in the chat box so you can contact both of them. We need volunteers in all the hubs, like I said, and we're looking to work with charities in each of the markets to do exactly the same thing. So I'm really, really excited about that. And thank you to the team who's got involved so far.